Hey guys, how you guys doing? Welcome to episode. How many have we done, Kevin?
I don't know, somewhere in
I
the
don't know.
20s.
Whatever.
Something like that.
Welcome to episode, whatever it may be, of Sunday Matinees. You want to introduce your friend?
Yeah, my long friend Randy Bradbury from Pennywise in the house.
Hello.
So, the first time I've ever been introduced to Pennywise was when I was a kid. I skateboarded a lot. So what was that? What was that game? That game you skid on?
Oh, Top Skater.
Top Skater.
Yeah.
So I remember playing that, and I was like, "Fuck, Pennywise is on this. This is so sick," But that was, when I was a young kid. To me, my introduction to Pennywise, in the early '90s, was I think the first album I ever picked up was Full Circle, and I was like, "Oh fuck!" Like I would skate to that record. I'd just be like, so for me, it was really cool to do this interview because there's a huge nostalgia behind Pennywise for me.
All that stuff, Top Skater, Full Circle, that all happened right about when I came into the band and started touring with them.
So yeah, well, I guess one of my main questions, what's your history with Pennywise in the sense of because from my understanding, you started playing bass after the passing of Jason, correct?
Mm.
Or did you? How did you?
Okay,
start?
I'll give you a quick rundown.
If you're on Facebook, you would say it's complicated.
So back right after the first album came out, the band was going to go to Europe, and so they needed a singer, and they got Fletcher's brother used to come to shows for a band that I was in at the time called Tender Fury. I was with Jack Grisham. So Fletcher's brother said, "Hey, my brother's band, they're going to go to Europe. They need a singer. They want Dave Quackenbush," right? So they got a hold of me, and I kind of facilitated a meeting between Fletcher and Dave, even though I had never met Fletcher. So we go up there. I meet Fletcher. I'm a huge fan of the band at that point. The first album, I was listening to it every day. I told Fletcher, I love your band. I want to be in your band. And he goes, "Well, you can't. We got. What do you mean? We got guys in the band." So anyways, shortly after that, this was in, I think, 91, the end of 91, they went to Europe with Dave. A month later, they came back. Dave went back to the Vandals, and then Jason asked me if I would play in the band. Jim had left. Jim was gone. That's why they needed Dave. So Jason said, "Hey, I'm going to sing. Will you play bass in Pennywise?" So I'm like, "Fuck yeah, I will. I love your band." So that whole year, so at that point it's 92. That whole year we played a handful of gigs, and I was in the band, and we worked on writing all the songs for Unknown Road. So we rehearsed Unknown Road, went in the studio to record Unknown Road, probably around November in 92. And then when it came time for vocals, it just wasn't the same without Jim, obviously. So Jim came back to the band, sang on the record, and I went back to whatever I was doing before that. So then they went on without me, and they did the next record, About Time. And then halfway through that touring cycle, it was October 23rd, 1995. They called me up. They were in Florida, and they said, "We're sending Jason's got to go home. He's drinking," because he was supposed to quit drinking.
Yeah.
And he was pretty crafty. There was something called Antabuse. If you took Antabuse, then you couldn't. If you drank, you'd get sick. But Jason switched out all his Antabuse pills for aspirin. So in the morning, they'd be giving him something for his hangover. And he was just such a rad guy. I mean, just since I brought him up, I mean, he had so much to do with every song that you think is iconic during those early days. It had so much to do with Jason's influence. He had everything to do with the band. So it was a real bummer when they were like, "Man, he's got to go home. He's got to get his shit together. He's going to go home." And so will you come out and play? I was like, "Fuck yeah." So I started touring with them October 23rd, 1995. Then we started recording Full Circle right around December or something of 95. So we had started recording the album when Jason was still alive.
Okay, so it was before his passing.
Yes.
Okay.
And no, actually, I don't know. Actually, we were working on songs. I don't know if we actually had gone into the studio, but he was still alive when I got back in the band.
Yeah.
And then that next summer, unfortunately, he never. You know, he was supposed to come back in the band. They were going to move me to second guitar.
Yeah.
And it didn't work out. And it was tragically he took his life.
I guess that's my next question. Brohim is, dude, it's so cool to hear it, like so many like sports and like events, and like it's a fucking classic song. But originally, the song was from what I've read is that it's about Jason's friends that when the song first was written, it was about Jason's friends, right?
Yeah.
So then in Full Circle, you guys recorded as a tribute or as a memory to Jason.
Yeah.
So when, Full Circle was, a huge introduction for me to Pennywise, but I'm sitting here thinking like, this is also at the same time when he passed away.
Yeah. So
how was it recording this record and, re-recording Brohim in memory of Jason? How was that process for you guys?
Yeah. For the rest of the guys in the band, like they had contemplated like, the band shouldn't go on without Jason. Mm-hmm. So, obviously you the way you feel and then you think it through and you think the best thing is to carry on and continue Jason's memory. And so it really felt like, that was like, I don't even think we had to have a huge conversation about it. It was just felt like the right thing to do to honor Jason's memory is make that song about Jason. It also, we end every show with Brohim. So even at the end of the album, like I think someone would just say, "Hey, we should end the album with Brohim," and it just seems like the right thing to do. So I'm sure it was really, really tough for the other guys, and I knew Jason, just a little bit, and he, like I said, he was a great guy and stuff, but I'm sure didn't have the same magnitude, although it was a great loss. And then the thing about having the song be so meaningful, mm-hmm. and then it's played at sporting events when there's a goal and stuff like that. It's kind of like like a juxtaposition or something like that. But it's that whoa 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 is so football.
It's iconic.
Song. Yeah, it's like football chant. So
do they have it?
Great.
Do they play that in Europe?
Oh yeah,
like soccer games and
I've seen it in America, but obviously I don't go to sports and.
I forgot. I saw it in I think it was like at a soccer game in Germany, and they were playing it in Germany.
Well, there's Stuttgart used to play it when we were in. It makes everyone mad, like all the other, because you can't really endorse a team, but they played Brohim, so like they asked us to play it, so we played it on the in the stadium.
Yeah, that's so cool.
And so it's awesome. That song is just made for that.
Yeah.
I saw him on YouTube a bunch of times. There was a soccer football team in Greece, and they would play it and bang drums, and so it's rad. And I think I think like even the Angels would play it.
I was gonna say I've seen it at Angel games.
They do at the Ducks games too.
Yeah.
So, it's pretty cool to see that like how that's grown. How that song's grown, but also in the memory of Jason. Like when when Full Circle came out, it's also a time that like from what I think is that Pennywise was just like taken off in a certain sense. Would you say I'm correct about that? Or? Yeah,
that seemed kind of like the heyday right there. Like right when Full Circle came out. We, like personally, I knew that had to be a great album. Yeah. And I was kind of like I think I was overstepping my bounds. Like I had just came back in, mm-hmm. and I was like, no, we got to play this song like this, or we got to do that. And I think, but I felt like, man, if this album sucks, it's going to be, who they're going to blame it on is me.
Yeah.
So I was like, I don't care if I piss anyone off.
You was like, all right,
we got to make it good, since I was a fan, huge, like I heard, so Bad Religion was like my favorite band, at that time. And then when I heard Pennywise, I was like, holy fuck, this is great. I love this. So I was a huge fan. So that being the fourth album, I was like, I felt like I knew how it should go in which direction, and I don't want to overstate my influence on it, but just from my perspective, those guys wrote great songs.
Asking, that leads me to ask about like influences, like me being a younger generation in music, same thing with Kevin. I ask Kevin all the time, like, for me as a band, like when I play in a band or start a band, there's always that band I reference to, be like, oh fuck, I want to sound like Pennywise. Oh fuck, I want to sound like this band or be this type of band. So I have to ask, like, what influenced your writing, or like what influenced your guys' songs, like, because you think about it, there's punk and there's an essence of hardcore, but there wasn't a huge long history, So what is it that influenced Pennywise?
Well, I think so
as far as
they
band,
had already established that sound
yeah
before I got in the band, but I think now, looking back on it, everyone could pretty much just admit that, like, it's basically had everything to do with Bad Religion.
That's awesome.
So everyone has a lot of influences.
Mm-hmm.
They've I got into punk rock in 1979.
Mm-hmm.
And I do some writing, but like I said, the whole thing was the way the band sounded was already set up, and like, so Fletcher was into punk rock way back then, and he had a band called Con 800 with Doug Carrion from all kinds of Dag Nasty and Descendants and stuff like that. So everyone's super influenced by all the standards, Black Flag and the Adolescents and TSOL and Circle Jerks and that. So I think it's just a culmination of all that early punk rock.
Yeah, I mean, I would be safe to. I mean, I would say it's like there's definitely not. There's influences there, obviously, but there's no other band that sounds like Pennywise.
Yeah, I think that's just like these guys started, like, I've been in a lot of bands, but they've pretty much, Pennywise is, and everyone's been in a few bands, but Pennywise is just something, those guys got together in the garage,
Mm-hmm.
and with Jason's songwriting at first, which, like I said, had so much to do with it, and it's just like the chemistry is there, because in a lot of ways, I don't understand how it works. But there's just that chemistry. There's a lot of fighting and stuff like that. But you put it all together, and it really just creates like something that's unique and awesome. And I feel incredibly fortunate to be involved in it.
So I'm gonna tell a story, then I'm gonna ask a question.
Yeah.
Full disclosure: me and Randy were roommates way back when I moved from Boston to California.
What year was this?
I don't even know.
90, 91.
91, somewhere
Yeah,
around
so I was
there.
like 2 years old.
Early, yeah. And I was like, yeah, I'm a bad motherfucker from Boston on bass. And then I moved in with Randy. I'm like, oh, god damn it.
That's crazy. Hey, what's up, dude? We'll edit this out. We're in the middle of an interview. But yeah, just come sit down. Come here.
So, anyway, so I moved in with Randy in '91 when I moved out from Boston, and I used to bass tech for him all the time. I was collecting unemployment. So like, Randy, I got a gig in Hollywood. Let's go. I got a little weekender. We're going to San Francisco. Cool. Let's do it. And I remember at the time, like, people that aren't in bands, they don't know what it takes to commit to do it for a living. There's plenty of people that think they got what it takes and the initiative and the drive. But I remember at the time, Randy, you had some relative owned an appliance store, and Randy was fixing appliances. And I remember one day he just came home. He's like, "Fuck it, I'm making a living playing bass. I'm not doing any other job. Period. Fuck it." And from that moment on, and I remember you had some ups and downs and whatever, but you hustled it. And I always think fondly of that. You know how you did it, and like at least for our crew. Like, we're all proud of you for that,
Yeah.
Fast forward to the question. Last time I ran into you at the Nitro Circus thing over in San Pedro. So you're playing on the LA Harbor waterfront. They got these dudes on motorcycles doing jumps. There's, I don't know how many people there, 20, 30,000 people. It's crazy. All these bands, Rancid, whatever. You guys, I think you headlined, or one of them?
We might have headlined that one, yeah.
So, what's it like to go from, like, when you're in that moment, do you take a second to go, God damn, man, I grew up over here in Long Beach across the harbor, and at one point I'm almost homeless or quasi-homeless, and like literally all fucked up on drugs, and then you got your shit together and change your life. Do you take a second and go, hey man, this is pretty fucking cool. I'm over here Do you still take a moment to do
Yeah,
that?
yeah, it's okay. So a lot of times you're in the moment of what you're doing, right? You got to focus and get it done. But almost every show that's rad like that, I'm just like, I have that feeling like, wow, this is great. And I do remember I came from, and it's like what you bring up about back then and working really hard. Yeah, when we got an advance for a record or something. This is back in like 1990 or 91, and I was fixing stoves, and I got $700. And I thought I could pay, like I was paying some insanely low amount.
I could live for a million years on this $700.
Yeah, I was like, I could pay my rent for like probably 3 or 4 months on this. I'm quitting, and I'm just gonna make my living playing music. I don't care how much I make. I want my living to be music. I'd say that as far as attitude to make it happen, I thought like if you just focus on one goal and you put everything you have into it, you're going to end up somewhere. I just knew. I don't think I really thought it out that much because that's really all I wanted to do.
Yeah.
So I think I was like, whatever talent I had is whatever, but the amount of like stubborn drive and never giving up and always going and going and going and saying yes to everything that was even a little bit good and then figuring out how to make it happen later. That was everything. You know, one time Human, you remember Steve Fowler?
Sure. Yeah.
He was talking shit about Social Distortion, right? He's like, yeah, that guy, he's just the perfect example of not having any talent but just not giving up. And I go, you're looking at one right here, you know. So I think there's so much to do with it, and I have had a lot of ups and downs. So I think because I've been through that, I really value everything. When I have a moment of reflect, you know, when I can reflect, a lot of times, you know, I could get caught up in the shit like, what, this bread? You can't make a sandwich with this little piece of bread. You know, you can get caught up in that, but I've had so many situations that keep me grounded and where I go, wow, you know, this is really, I'm very, very, very fortunate, and, you know, even #blessed, you know.
Yeah, I think it's good for people to, because it seems like maybe a generational thing, and I'm kind of an old fuck now, but I hear a lot of people like, oh, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, I'm gonna be on TikTok, I'm gonna be on YouTube, I'm gonna be an influencer and all this bullshit. And it's like some people are successful at it, God bless them, but most people that are successful in life, they pick something, they do it really well, they hone their craft, they put the effort in, and then you have the success. Yeah. There's a saying, luck is where preparation and hard work meet up, and it's like, maybe I said it wrong, but
I also have to ask, like, so, like, you know, because at that time when you guys were playing in bands and touring, like, I have to ask, because now, like, how was it like touring in the 90s? This is a question for both of you.
Fucking awesome.
But I say it in this, like, when I first started touring, I was like, damn, this is hard, in the sense that, like, okay, at least I had MapQuest, you know, like I could look up the internet and I had to print it out. But in the 90s, you didn't have that.
Yeah, but you didn't know what you didn't have, so you just had Atlas.
Yeah, but also Pennywise, like when I started touring with so before Pennywise, I had done some. I never did any really extensive touring. Mm-hmm. I was grounded at home. I had to work. I was fixing stoves, so I couldn't like. I got offered Das Clown. AJ said, "Hey, you want to go to Europe?" And I was like working. And I'm like, "I'll go to Europe. Sounds great, but like I'll lose my job and everything." So I couldn't do. Even though I was playing in 5 bands locally in Long Beach, so I was always doing that, but I just had to like pick and choose. So I didn't get to. So the point is that when I actually started touring, it was pretty gravy. I mean, Pennywise had, you know, tour buses, and
nice.
It was nice.
Well, labels,
and I didn't have to worry about looking at a map because we had a driver.
Okay. Labels had money, which is a weird thing, you know, like to like a startup band, they'd give you money to tour, like they give you, hey, here's 20 grand, go buy a van, we'll give you merch money.
But it's also like a question, because I was like, you know, back then, nowadays, and you start a band, put music on Spotify or whatever, it's so accessible to have music available. It's so accessible to be in a band. It's so accessible to tour because you have all these, you know, there's a huge difference between then and now. So for me, I was just like, fuck, that's like the idea of being a band back then. I'm just like, that's crazy.
So back then, so first of all, being a success, you know, when working to become a success, as you know, and it sounds cliche, but you're a success when you just get to do it because you love it, right? So it doesn't matter where you go. That's the first thing, because otherwise it would be endless, dissatisfaction, because you don't get to be at any certain level. Like if you don't just love doing it in the moment, you're never going to be satisfied, right? So when you start doing that, when you're just playing at all, that's what you love about it. But being a band back then, what the goal was, it was different. There wasn't Spotify. You had to have people show up, and people come to your gigs, and then they would go buy your albums. So you wanted to get a following, and then if you got a following, then you could trick some record executive to think you're hot shit, and they want to give you a record deal. But it wasn't even about the record deal; it was about giving you the advance. So if you could get $100,000 advance, and now you're set, and then hopefully you end up selling records. So back then it was a different focus. It was about getting people to go to your shows.
Yeah.
And then it was more of a grassroots thing. So I don't know how bands do it now, because back then, if you were going to be a good band, you actually had to be good. Nowadays, everyone has Pro Tools, and you can just make a great album, but you might not even
be able to perform it.
Be good, yeah. So what do? You put it on SoundCloud
like
and
4
then
bars and then paste, cut and paste.
Cut and paste. So I don't get how they do it now, but.
What's your favorite place to play in the world? Outside, of course, LA and Long Beach.
Yeah, people ask that. There's something good about everywhere. You know, Australia is a lot like home, but not as crowded, and you get treated. Everywhere we go, we get the best treatment. So I don't think we're seeing the real deal. People are happy to have us there, and so they're always very accommodating and friendly. And I think there's something great about everywhere. Australia is a standout.
I love Australia. Man.
Yeah.
It's like it's cool that you describe it like home, because like I feel like I'm in California.
Yeah.
But it's just like
you're on the wrong side of the road.
Yeah, it's a little cleaner. Yeah. Everybody's a little bit nicer.
Yeah. But still, I'm sure if you live there, you would have plenty to complain about.
It's definitely. I went there for the first time last year, and it was one of the places I went to. I was like, I could live here.
Yeah.
It was just nice city.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a newer America. Like everything's like newer.
It's kind of like when we started going there. It reminded me of America, how it would have been 40 years earlier or 30 years earlier.
Yeah.
But and talking about that, like, so, and then you go, every single place is cool for whatever reason. You go to South America, and it's like the shows are insane there. Like you'd never seen so hyper. Everyone's hyper and stoked. And you go to Europe, and it's like you're on cobblestone streets, and it's kind of like some backlot in Universal Studios, but it's real.
Yeah.
And and Japan is fucking. Japan's one of my favorites. It's like being on Mars or something.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It's a whole other world to me.
And I used to love all these places, and I would go and I'd be like, I want to move here. I could move there. But after all the years of coming and going and coming back, I know where to get a burger here. I know where, it's just home is home. And so that's why I've really, gotten an appreciation for home, for
I've always, like, from the first time I came to California, it was like, I gotta move here. That's it. Boom, done. I would say this is like the first year I've ever been like, wow, shit's kind of fucked up. Like I've never ever thought of moving anywhere else. 2020, there's been some fucking garbage times here with all these fires and fucking.
2020 is the year of just. I was like, fuck, just gotta rearrange my whole life now.
But it's not like you could go anywhere else. Everybody else, fuck too.
Dude, I've been trying to make long lists, short lists of places to go. And because, it's kind of heartbreaking because, California, born and raised, Southern California, I just love it. I would travel around the world, and when people say, where are you from? I wouldn't say America, I'd say California.
Yeah.
It is a really unique place. It's special. I love it. I mean, I'm not going to move, but I love it. I do love it here, but it's been a weird
Yeah,
year.
we're just
but
in
it's
a
like
weird
everywhere.
time,
It's
man.
just such a bad. That's why I'm drinking at fucking 2 in the afternoon. 'Cause it's just fucking depressing this year.
So I mean, I guess that's another question. Is that obviously COVID-19 has turned our worlds upside down. You being a career musician, how are you doing during this time? Like, are you being productive? Are you like I mean, and I ask this in the sense like there's times where I'm like, fuck, I'm depressed. I just want to go back on tour. Like I fucking because before this I was like, I just want to stay home.
Yeah.
Fuck. But now I'm like thinking like, fuck, I just want to go back to work. There's moments where like, okay, you're going in and out of emotions, and also like, oh hey, like now I get to work out every day. Like how are you dealing with this?
Well, I think I'm kind of like I do my best when the odds are stacked against me.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes when everything's great, I'll make up some fucking problems. Next thing you know, if I had enough money, my face would look like Michael Jackson. So I'd be like, this just isn't quite right. But so I'm almost better when there's a real problem. I mean, without having to say, just the whole the enormity of the bum out and the situation is like, it's really can get to you.
Yeah.
But I look at this as like a bridge, to get. I got to stay positive. I got 4 kids.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I just think I'm very grateful that the last 4 years or so we worked a lot. So I was able to catch up on my bills. I'm still underwater, been underwater for a long time. It's like it's feast or famine when you play music, right?
Yeah.
But when the shit hits the fan, I'm like, okay, well, this is stuff I wouldn't want to ever touch. But I think if we can make it spread out the resources long enough to make it last. Just going for it, all in. You got to be all in and go for it. So I'm keeping a positive attitude. I got 4 kids. I have to. We're keeping them fed. There's a lot of really actually positive things happening. Like we've been cooking and eating at home, with the whole family, sitting down to dinner. To tell you the truth, I like not doing anything. I like it, because I'm kind of a tweaker, man. I like to do things that kind of like that I. Well, I guess it sounds selfish, but like that make me better, like I could play. I haven't been doing a lot of playing, but I have been doing more than I normally would. So I could play guitar, and I've been doing recordings with Punk Rock Karaoke, and so that keeps us busy.
I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah.
Not to interrupt you, but I just interrupted you.
Yeah.
So what's it like? You brought up Bad Religion.
Yeah.
You're playing with Greg Hetson.
Oh yeah.
How fucking awesome is
Oh,
that?
great.
Would you have ever thought like back in the day? Well, you did play with Jack Grisham, so that's a local legend from Long Beach.
Yeah.
But Bad Religion, I think, was your favorite band.
Oh,
right?
absolutely,
And so what's it like to play in a band with him?
Well, it's going on 2 years. So now it's super fun and comfortable. The guys are like, there's always a message text thread going, and everyone's joking, and it's really a good vibe. Really easy to work. It's like we go, hey, let's record that song. Every next thing you know, it's done. It's a lot of fun. There's not a lot of pressure. So if there's not a lot of pressure, if there's not money involved, really, then there's no reason to be fighting and stuff. So it's for fun. Greg's rad, like awesome. He's like, dude, ever since I was, in the early 80s, just a little punker. He was in Red Cross. He was in Circle Jerks, Bad Religion, all those bands. So, it's kind of a trip. Now, like at first, I think I was kind of a little bit nervous, but now it's just really cool to be playing with those guys. They're all super professional, great players,
It's funny because when he walked up on me and you at the Nitro Circus thing, and I was pretty much half in the rapper.
Yeah.
And I go, and he comes up, and he, like, for me, like, I grew up a little bit more metal, but then I got into hardcore or whatever. But for the punk bands I would see when I was 12, 13 years old, Circle Jerks, Bad Religion, all those bands, I'd seen him. So, like, he's fucking legend to me. Yeah. So I go, I don't pay attention to him. That's just Greg Hetson, whatever. So I was like, man, was I like a little rude with him? So I messaged him. I'm like, hey, dude, big fan. Meant no disrespect. If I was out of line, I apologize. He goes, "There's no apologies in punk rock." And I go, "But if there were, sorry." And he goes, he laughed, you know. But I was like, "Man, that guy's the fucking best. He's so cool," you know.
Yeah. So going way back to probably 1985 or 6, Falling Idols, which was my first, Long Beach band.
Quack was in that.
Dave
right?
Quackenbush sang
from the
for
Vandals,
Falling Idols, and Mud played drums. Mud, local guy, you might know him, and Trey Pangborn, like just that was the band. You know, I got Falling Idols tattooed on my arm, like, and that's when. Right after I got Falling Idols tattooed, that's when the band like broke up for.
that always happens. You get the band name, and then you're.
Yeah, so Mud left. But anyway, so we got a gig at Fenders with all the bands that were on the bill. I don't know. I think it was probably it was Bad Religion, I think. So it was 86 or 87. It was Bad Religion, but there was like 10 bands on the bill, and we were on the bill. At the same time, the Circle Jerks needed a bass player. So maybe it was even back earlier. It was like after Roger Rogerson left, and I don't know what they had, but they needed a bass player, and they were going to have tryouts. So at this gig, this Falling Idols gig, was, one of the best. Like the first song we start playing, and the fucking whole crowd's on stage, and I get knocked over, and somehow I've tried to do this before, and I usually rock around like a turtle, but I was like knocked down on my back, and I was able to get right back up again, and it was awesome. And afterwards. Hetson came up to me. I didn't even know him. He goes, "Hey, we're having tryouts for bass players, and can you come down and try out?" And I was like, "Wow, fuck, that's rad." And then I didn't go because I thought there's no way they're gonna want me in their band, and so I didn't go.
And this was for Circle Jerks.
Yeah.
So you could have played at Circle Jerks.
Well, I don't know, but then the other thing I did, I didn't even think he liked me, because the other thing I did is after the gig. So John Fenders is the guy there. No one else in the band in Falling Idols is there, and I'm the only guy left there, and I'm like hanging out partying. He goes, "Oh, here's your money. Here's your $50 for the night." And I go, "For the band?" And I go, "Rad." And so I just went and bought Coke with it, and and then I asked Hetson if he wanted some, and he goes, "No, I don't want any." So I just thought he didn't like me, or I don't know. It was weird, It's just like that was the '80s. But
then you guys end up.
He ended
up on Epitaph.
He remembers that.
He wouldn't remember anything like that, right?
Hetson remembers.
Some guys can
asking me, and the whole thing.
No shit.
Yeah.
That's a riot.
So, but we're good now.
One of the questions I had, because also I'm a big Ignite fan. How's that? Having Zoli in the band for a quick second.
Oh, Zoli's. I mean, so as far as Pennywise goes, it's a controversial subject.
I like the record.
Yeah.
He's Dio and
so
Jim's Ozzy.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And I love Dio.
Yeah.
But if you separate it from, if you just say, it was a weird time. We weren't ready to. I totally understand. People want to go in different directions, and they do different things, which is fine. And so, we just decided to get Zoli and carry on as Pennywise. So if we hadn't have done that, right, which I'm fine that we did that. I think it was the only move we had. But the album, I'm really proud of it. I thought it was well done. We worked with Cameron. Zoli did a great job. Fletcher and I worked really close on writing songs, and Byron played his ass off, and I think it's a great album, and I'm proud of it. I think that, if you're talking about Pennywise, the band, Jim is the singer and the only one. If you're a fan, and you want to go see Pennywise, you want to see Jim. But as far as the album goes, it's a badass album.
And that's why I asked, because being from a fan perspective, I was like, at first I was like, it's kind of weird, man. Like, I'm a big Pennywise fan. You can't have Pennywise without Jim.
Right.
So, but I was like, after listening to the record, I was like, you know what? I don't understand. Obviously, I don't know the insides of the band. So I was like, I don't know why or how this happened, but it's not a bad record. I actually like the record a lot.
Yeah.
So I was like, cool. I'm actually a fan of the record, but it's also like, obviously, Jim came back into the band. So how was that? Like, you guys did a record with Zoli. Zoli's out, Jim's back in. Was that something that was like, is that controversial? Or is that something that one of those things like, fuck, we need Jim back in the band? Or like, how did that happen?
Well, yeah, fuck, we need Jim back in the band.
Okay.
That was, we never wanted him to leave,
Yeah.
But, and look, bands go through this type of stuff all the time. But when he did come back and like we started playing, like the first practice, it was like, okay, it really was like,
never left.
Yeah. So it was like really just, oh, this is right. This is the way it's supposed to be. And it felt great. And, so, and then that was a long time ago now. That was eight years ago.
I mean, if you don't mind me asking, why did that happen? Like, why did he leave? Why did Zoli play?
Yeah. So, I mean, I think around that point in time, the band had been together for 20 years or something. Mm-hmm. And it's like nothing is easy in Pennywise. Mm-hmm. It's really like, I think that's where the chemistry comes from, because everyone has to get so invested and there's so much at stake and there's kind of like arguing and that's how it turns out good, but it's also exhausting, so
yeah, I can only imagine.
Jim wanted to do other things and so it's just kind of like a natural progression, so that happened, and then we're like, well, what do we do? Let's just keep going. It was never really, there was never the thought of stopping. Mm-hmm. It was like, then we got Zoli and did that album, and that was fun too. I'm proud of that album. I had a lot to do with it. So
I actually like that record a lot. But it's cool to because it's pretty. For for Pennywise, it's like the members. There's a lot of bands where you see this revolving door of members, and like it doesn't matter who's in the band. It's just a fucking studio band that just But when it comes to Pennywise, the members are the band. You guys define the band. Without each one of you guys in the band, it's like it's not really Pennywise. So it's pretty cool to see it back with Jim.
Oh yeah, we were very happy.
So can you name every band you've been in?
I could try.
Yeah, let's do that. Unless that's boring and lame for you, but
no, I don't care. Okay, so the very first band. Okay, so check this out. So the very first band I get in was a little garage band with a couple guys, Desi and Bill. Okay, and we didn't have a singer. And 2 weeks after that, I look back on this. This really cute girl wanted to go out with me. I couldn't get like any girl's attention, and if I did, I was so scared. Like I was so scared of girls at that time. I was like, oh, she's ugly. I don't like her, right? But so this really hot girl liked me, and then for like a week, and then she ended up in the van with all my friends. But I look back on that, and I was like, wow, I got in a band.
This band shit's
I thought it was
because
someone finally noticed how awesome I was. It was like, oh no, because I'm in a band. So anyways, so that band was good for that. We didn't have a singer. We weren't anything. I think we played one little garage party. So then I got into Falling Idols in 1982. They were my best friends. We hung out. We surfed ever since I knew Mud and Trace in 6th grade. And we were like surfing buddies through junior high and stuff.
You were in the Long Beach Gang book?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
They used to have a book in Long Beach, the Long Beach Police Department. And they would anybody who's punk rock, they assume you were like a gang. And they would keep your name and picture in it.
I don't know if my name...
I
don't know if my name... Well, probably, yeah.
I thought you were the Long Beach Belmont Shore Mafia or something.
Okay, so no, we had like... So there was the band Rudimentary Peni. Started listening to them. Like they fully changed how I listen to music. Like the bass is all fast all over. It's fucking crazy. We'd be all stoned, driving around and listening to Peni and just getting our minds blown, right? So then everything was Peni. I ended up getting a Peni tattoo. I didn't know they were going to turn into a gang. Like they ended up becoming like
a real one,
a real gang.
Gang,
And I got the tattoo. I liked the band But anyways, so there was that. So I was in Falling Idols, And then after that, I got in a band called Hard as Nails, Cheap as Dirt with
Warren, right? What was Warren?
Smitty.
Smitty.
Smitty was in that, and now he's the tour manager or something for Pearl Jam.
Yeah.
And Andy Perrin and
Andy put the stage in here.
Oh, he did?
Yeah.
I love Andy. Rick Selga.
This is his biggest job he ever did. It's like the Warped Tour and all this shit.
Yeah, and you know, Tender Fury, and then I played with Wayne Kramer. I went on tour with Wayne
I used
Kramer.
to tech with you guys for that.
Yeah, okay, right.
Yeah.
And then before that was Tommy Stinson. I played with him for a while. So I kind of like went from, you know, I just never give up, and I just kept getting into different situations, and then One Hit Wonder with Dan Root and Robbie Allen. I really loved that band. Like Dan wrote all the songs for that, great songs, and you know, so we had a local following, Long Beach, Orange County, you know, for most of this stuff, but you know. And then all day we had all day Paul McFadden would. So we were all roommates at the first House of Woe.
Yeah.
Before we moved to the House of Woe.
Yeah.
And
we were all sober at the house at the time.
You guys are sober?
How'd that work out? But then like everybody else, like, they got unsober, but in a chemical way.
Okay, question. I'm confused. You guys lived together in a house, and everybody was sober.
Yeah, we were all like AA, NA.
Yeah.
You know,
Is this because like, oh fuck, I need to get our life together? Or was this just like you guys like straight edge or something? What was going on?
No, I hit someone with a car on purpose. I was like,
You hit someone with a car on purpose.
Yeah, I was like,
psycho.
Maybe I probably probably need to back off this stuff a little bit and get the old noggin squared away.
Yeah.
And everybody had their own stories, some very similar.
Yeah.
And then you guys lived together during this time.
Yeah, so we were all sober at that time, and so I had a little 4-track upstairs, and we would always Kevin recorded. I still have some of those. I have anyone who come over, anyone that came over to the house, I'd get them on my 4-track. Yeah. And because I was recording all fucking 30 hours a day, like whatever I could fit in, and so Paul McFadden, he would say like, I got some songs, and he'd always say he had songs. So I go, all right, let's start making songs. So we started that band all day in the room. So there was tons of
local
Manic Hispanic.
Oh, I
you
played
were
in
kind of
Manic
in and
Hispanic.
out, right? Yeah.
I played some shows with Manic Hispanic. I honestly, I can't remember. I really right now, if I sat down, I think there's like 15 bands I've been in. Ken All Night Rocker.
You did a vinyl.
I did a Divinyls video.
Yeah.
I got because we were.
I touch myself when I'm alone.
I'm in that for like 2 seconds, but I'm in it.
So cool.
They asked me to go on tour with them, to go to Australia, and I was like, I was making another album, the last Tender Fury record with Josh Freese and Frank Agnew and Steve Soto sang backups on it, and Robbie Allen and Jack, and
what a lineup. And
it was all songs that me and Jack wrote together. Like, it was all my music, and then we wrote it in like one day. He's like, what do you got? And I go, I got this, and because I had all these recordings. So that was really important. So I didn't go on tour with the Divinyls, but I did do another video with them. And it's funny because all I did was do a video, and that's when everyone started my parents took me seriously, and I made like $300 or $500 or something.
Yeah. So what? Yeah.
It's the thing that turns.
I mean, after Pennywise, did you ever do any do you have any other projects beyond Pennywise currently?
No.
Punk rock karaoke.
Punk rock karaoke.
Yeah, punk rock karaoke. And
some people might not know because it's more of an LA thing, right?
Yeah, punk rock karaoke is me and Darren Pfeiffer from Goldfinger. He plays drums, great drummer, and Stan Lee from the Dickies, iconic, and then Greg Hetson. And so we have like a list of like 80 songs or so that like we could come play here. We should play at Supply and Demand.
You should, yeah.
And then you just
because we need to make fucking money.
Yeah, we'll play here. It'll be fun. Yeah. And then so you have a list, and people pick off the list, and they sign up just random, and they get up and play the song. So they sing the song with us.
So you get up with Randy, Greg Hetz.
So question for that is because like, I love going to karaoke bars because it's just like I love it because it's like, I don't want to see the person that can actually sing and do well.
Oh, you want to see?
I want to see the motherfucker just fucking the song up,
Yeah.
So obviously you guys are actually the musicians playing it actually like how is there like a do you have a story of like someone just butchering a song or like just like
it's always great. No, it's a surprise when someone goes up there and kicks ass and sings it perfectly. So that's awesome. It's awesome when they fuck up because that's funny. But one time we had some lady come up and sing, or some chick, I don't know, and like no one else saw it, but I saw it, and she was screaming so hard, and she was leaning down, and she peed. Like she peed.
I was about to say, no.
She peed on a scream. So that's the highlight for me.
Winner.
I guess asking about stories, for Pennywise for a good period of time was like almost like the house band of Warped Tour. Like, you guys are staple of that brand. I've heard there's a lot of Pennywise stories around Warped Tour. Is there a story you could tell? Is there like favorite Warped Tour story?
Oh God, dude, it's such a fucking blur. Warped Tour is a blur. The whole thing. I mean, there's a lot of stuff. There's just too many. There's too many. But I got a story from.
Ozzy's calling me. Tell him call me back.
But there's one I was thinking about just randomly this morning when we were in Europe. Mm-hmm. So we're in Europe on the double-decker bus, and Fletcher's up. We're both up late drinking, mm-hmm. And but sometimes he just get crazy. Like, well, he
I've heard most of the stories are around Fletcher.
They're all around Fletcher. It's all about Fletcher. But so we're hanging out, and I went up. But so he's like, he thinks it's funny to fuck with people too, So, and everyone's on the I'll fuck with you list, except for very few.
Yeah.
But I happen to be on the I'm gonna fuck with Randy list, right? So sometimes, and so I'm upstairs, and I had gone up for a minute, and I hear this noise. It's like it sounded like someone dragging like a screwdriver down a leather couch or something, like, right? So I come down, and I'm like, what the fuck's happening? And I look, and I could see Fletcher with the corkscrew doing something on his arm. And I'm like, so I'm thinking, if he's doing that to himself, and I'm the only one on the bus, fuck this. So I hit the door, and door opens. I just fucking bolted. I ran down the street, and I ran like as far as I could, and then just sat there for an hour, and then snuck back on the bus. But that's mine. You can't even. I mean, there's just
I was
everything.
Thinking that Snow Jam. We were doing a Snow Jam tour in Canada, and we were opening up for them. And we're in Saskatchewan, which is like the Bible Belt of Canada. And we go to check into the hotel, and oh god damn it, Stuart, yeah, Stuart Taggart, rest in peace, brother. We're checking in the hotel, and then we're there, and it's all quiet. It's like late after the gig. I don't know what time, like midnight or 2 a.m. And he goes, "Excuse me, ma'am, could you pass me that stapler, please?"
At the reception,
he grabs a stapler, and he just goes, bing, 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 staples his fucking ear. And this lady is just like horrified. And then we all go to our rooms, and then like 20 minutes later, I get a knock on the door from Stuart, who was their manager at the time. And he's like, dude, if the cops come for Fletcher, just tell him, he left. So.
Have you guys ever had to not play a show because of Fletcher?
Yeah. Well, one time we were in on the Warped Tour in Denver. Fletcher's drunk again, and we're all drunk, and we're at some bar across from the venue, and he was in the bathroom. He started tearing apart the bathroom, right? And then the owner of the bar is freaking out, and he goes in there. Everyone splits, and I think like I got to stay behind. Sometimes I could be like the dog whisperer, and he'll listen to me, a little bit. So, and I just thought it was, at this point, it's kind of funny and fun. So I stay there with him, and we get out of the bar. He says he's going to pay for it. I think he paid for something. He always pays for something. He always says he's sorry, and he always pays for it. I'm like, he'll be like, hey, you chopped off my hand. I'm sorry, you know, like he's always sorry, right?
There's a 20 spot, bro.
Yeah. But anyway, so then we're walking back, and there was some band we wanted to visit, and they had one of these motorhomes, and so we go in the motorhome, and it was the wrong one, but we were kind of like super fucking wasted and didn't you really know, and so we just know there's no one there, and we're like, we'll wait for him. Mm-hmm. And so we just sit there, and Fletcher starts going, I'm gonna make a sandwich, you know. He goes in there. So then the guys, I can't remember the name of the band, but it was like a younger emo band. Younger as in, I mean, at that time we're like in our 40s, so they were younger, like they were 30, and so they come on their motorhome, and they go, "What the fuck are you guys doing on our motorhome? Get the fuck off!" And we're like, oh, we're on the wrong one. They're like, "Get the fuck out of here!" And Fletcher's like, "I'll go after I make a sandwich," and so. So they got pissed, and so we're sitting there, and I'm laughing, and these guys, I don't realize what's happening, but pretty much like 5 dudes come down and sit down next to me, and we're like, we're hanging out, and Fletcher's gonna eat a sandwich. Well, some other guy. So when you're with Fletcher, you're so big and crazy, like you get away with almost anything.
Yeah.
No one fucking fucks with him because it's just like, what can we do? Well, this guy attacks Fletcher, and out of the corner of my eye, I'm like, whoa, what the fuck? That never happens, right? So then these guys jump on me, and I just somehow went into fucking jujitsu mode, so we were in a fight. Me and Fletcher are back to back fighting, and I remember thinking we both got our shirts off, and I'm boop, 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 you know, and we're back to back, and I just started laughing. I was like, fuck, I'm fighting with Fletcher, you know. It was funny, and anyways, that somehow, unfortunately for them, they got cleared out.
Yeah.
And then the cops came and arrested Fletcher. Had me in the back of a cop car for 45 minutes or something, until Fletcher said, "Hey, they let me out because Fletcher said so." But anyways, they took him to jail, and so we missed that show the next day. It was
what did Kevin Lyman say?
Well, Kevin Lyman, it was the last show of the Warped Tour. And Lyman doesn't like violence or any of that shit. He knows Fletcher really well, though, and so it was all over anyways. He would have probably sent us home, but we had a really big show the next day. It was going to be like our profit margin, and we didn't make that. So.
Oh man, dude! I definitely.
What a good story. Fuck it.
Yeah.
I mean, when I think about touring, that's the only reason why I tour, because I was like, I just want to go have fun with my friends and do stupid shit.
There's a video of him somewhere. I seen it. I was looking on YouTube one day at Zabalba and or Sweet Balba. I don't know how the fuck you pronounce it properly. I don't know either. But so he's playing, and then like he just knocks his fucking the bass player probably. You sock the bass player and knock him out while they're playing.
Are you the singer?
Yeah, he's the singer. And
so
I'm
you
like,
just turn around, but see, the bass player always gets fucking punched. And
so he's our bass player. What happened is that, well, first of all, we played Poland, and the promoter refused to let us play until we partied with him.
Yeah, sounds about right.
So we're about 2 bottles of vodka in between 3 guys. Oof. So we're not coherent at all. And I remember we're playing the set somehow, and the bass player tries to trip me, and I just like turned around and just soccer punted him off the stage. And the whole band like is just dying laughing, still trying to play the songs. And it was that same night, for some reason, we almost like got in a fight with each other. Like, I almost fought our guitar player. And then our tour manager that was with us trying to break us apart. You're like, yo, you guys gotta chill. And then our drummer starts trying to fight him because he's like, those are my friends. You can't tell them to not fight. I don't understand the logic behind that.
Unfortunately, it's all too familiar.
So it's
unfortunately, I kind of do.
Yeah. So I know. Yeah. Unfortunately, we understand the logic.
So we're all trying to fight each other, and then we get we wake up the next day, because I'm assuming just like a band, you've been in the same band for the members for so long. It's like your brothers. You get into scuffles, fuck you, fuck off. I'll see you
Right.
tomorrow.
Right.
We woke up the next morning like, fuck, I don't even know what we're fighting about.
Yeah, yeah.
And the tour manager's like, I can't fucking do this, man. Like, this is day 2. So, but we had to like be like, yo, man, like it's fine. Like we're like, you know, we're like brothers. Like sometimes we get into scuffles, and it is what it is. But yeah, that was that scenario.
That's
I don't know what would be worse.
that's being
to
on
be
the road.
a Zababa tour manager or to be a Pennywise tour. I think Pennywise would be
I
worse.
dude, I want to know so many stories about Fletcher because I've heard there's like a lot of stories
He's great
about.
at telling them. Like I'm not the best at recalling that stuff.
But also that's like I would not want to be the tour manager because I'm like, fuck, I got to deal with that guy.
Well, we had our monitor guy that we had on one of our last tours in 2019. He said, and he's worked with a lot of bands.
Uh-huh.
He said, like halfway through the tour, he goes, "You guys are basically the most dysfunctional band I've ever seen, ever worked with." So it's an interesting
That's
ride.
awesome, man.
But I think. Yeah.
Well, Kev, you got any more questions before we
Nah,
let it go?
I think we got it covered.
Dude, thank you so much for joining us today.
We said it all.
Before we let you go,
Said it all, we did it all.
any shout outs to the world?
Uh,
Any records coming up? Anything Pennywise world?
Well, I just want to shout. I just came here because Kevin's my friend.
Yeah.
Supply and demand. Kevin and Erica, they're just good people, and I know, I'm just happy to be involved and try to, keep this place alive because
Yeah.
I think that, it's
It's rough times.
yeah, and it's just going to be, hopefully when everything comes back together, this is going to be a great place to hang out, and I love Long Beach too, so I'm just happy to be here and part of it, and so good luck
Yeah,
to you
brother.
guys. Yeah,
Appreciate it.
yeah,
Well, dude, thank you so much for joining us.
cool.
Kev,
Right on. Good times.
peace out. All right.
All right, we
Dude,
did
thank you
it.
so much.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
that's good.